Hey, you're listening to another episode of Rogan Radio.
Can we all do that at the same time?
Rogan Radio.
To my left is William Charles Rogan III. To my right, Jimmy Wazinski. And to my other
Tonight we have a very special guest in the studio. We have a fantastic following in Japan, and tonight, he was born in Japan. We have Bruce Takahashi. Now, Bruce, your first name's not actually Bruce. Whoa, I mean, we had to pause for a second.
They still call him Bruce.
Welcome to the studio, Bruce. But when you first came to America in what, 1990?
1990.
And your name wasn't Bruce. Tell us how you got that name.
Oh, people just say that. Well, your name is just hard for us to remember, so I'm going to name you Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah.
And then it has stuck for almost 16 years. Yeah.
Pronounce your real name for the listeners.
Ijiro.
Izero.
See, that's pretty awesome, man.
I kind of like it, actually.
I think
it's kind of sexy, actually.
Izero.
You know, we could probably.
I'm not going to go that far.
Izero.
We could probably get Bruce to do like a little sound bite, and we can mix it or something like that, which would be fantastic. In this podcast, we have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. One of the big things is that we have a mystery word. Now, Bruce, you're going to be in charge of the mystery word.
Start thinking.
You have the entire podcast, and at some point in this podcast, we're going to talk about the mystery words. It's going to be one word, and then when you hear that mystery word, what you have to do is, not Bruce, by the way. Bruce already has his shirt. You're going to have to go ahead and send us a text at 681-222-ROGN, or you can message us on the Facebook, and you can let us know at that point what that magic word is for a drawing for... Not only do we have a pair of sagebrush tickets to give away for a March 19th concert by David D and the band. Now this is very something special. David Daugherty,
Todd likes to play with the cock.
His wife had colon cancer, and she's been fighting this colon cancer, and she finally got some pretty good news that she doesn't have colon cancer anymore.
That's fantastic news.
It is absolutely fantastic. So David, he's always on the show. He's got this his David D band, and they go around and they're going to have this big concert up on March 19th. Now they also have a song, "Walk a Mile in My Shoes." And if you buy that song off of iTunes, off of the Amazon, wherever you see that thing, and we're going to have a bunch of links for that, all the proceeds, if you buy that particular song, go to fighting colon cancer.
And listen, it's 99 cents.
That's what I mean, 99 cents.
I mean, you can't spare 99 cents.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it goes for a good cause. I mean, cancer. Everybody is affected with cancer. Everybody we know probably has been, at one point
Plus,
in their
you get a
life
good
or another.
tune. I mean, you
get a great tune.
David Daugherty Band. And I tell you what, David's going to be here for the Spring Fling. Bruce, you going to be in town for the Spring Fling?
You have to come for the Spring Fling.
Bruce, we're going to have an 80-foot slip and slide through the back of the house that goes down the yard, which basically means a wet T-shirt contest.
Yeah, swimsuits are optional.
Yeah,
okay.
That's going to be fantastic. But anyway, as we start out every single podcast, we have a quote of the week. Captain Earl's always in charge of the quote of the week, and this week it would be from
last 47742.
Okay.
Is the who text in for the quote of the week. And let me read it to you. Quote of the week, number 1. The sport of choice for urban poor is basketball.
Basketball. Okay.
The sport of choice for maintenance level employees is bowling. The sport of choice for the frontline workers is football. Number 4. Okay. The sport of choice for supervisors is baseball. Number 5. The sport of choice for middle management is tennis. Number 6. The sport of choice for corporate executives and officers is what? Golf. The moral of this story is, the higher you go in the corporate structure, the smaller your balls become. Listen, there must be a boatload of people in Washington playing marbles.
Nice.
That is the quote of the week from 7742. I don't know who that is. I wish we knew who that was.
And while we talk here for a second, I have some things that we're going to talk about. And because we're going to talk about that, Jimmy can go up and move the camera a little bit, because one thing I don't see is Bruce in the shot for the YouTube. I see me.
It was
and
there.
I see Todd. Because Todd, whatever.
Hey, mine's well.
I didn't go.
We're just going to blame it on you because Todd.
Thanks, Chuck. I didn't do a thing.
Last time we blamed. That's good. Well, a
Well,
little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Right there,
Last time
right
we
there, right
blamed,
there, right there.
last time we blamed Jimmy, and this time we're going to blame you. That's just how it goes. See, Bruce, it's always past the buck. You know what I mean? Because that stuff should have already been
One of
checked
these
out by me, but then because I'm looking right at the computer screen, and instead of I just passed the buck.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
whose fault is it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's Jimmy's fault.
Hey,
I think
listen,
it's- I think
oh,
it's
Need
your
to make
fault.
this the
Listen,
Todd
Bruce.
and Jimmy show.
Listen, one thing about Bruce is pretty cool is Bruce is Japanese. You know what? And the cultures are extremely different.
It is different.
Americans are, or I hate to say the word.
Self-centered buttholes.
Well, they're not disciplined. They're not very disciplined. You know what I mean?
In comparison, they are.
in comparison
not.
to Japan. And what we're going to talk about in the next segment, just some interesting facts that I've learned about Japan just because Bruce is going to be in the studio here with us. And for some reason, I'm awful raspy. But it's absolutely amazing. Just like one thing that amazes me, are taxes high in Japan? Pretty high?
much, yeah, pretty high.
Now, let me ask you this. Are the taxes, the literacy rate in Japan, which absolutely amazes me, is 100%. Everybody in Japan that can read or write can read or write.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they have to learn a second language, which would be,
English.
and you have to do that. You do not have a choice.
No.
Now, one thing that's pretty interesting to me is it's not necessarily, even though maybe taxes are a little high and all that, but you also get your ass beat if you're not paying attention. I mean, you
used to, but I don't know about these days because the law might have changed a little bit.
Right.
but
Kind of like
yeah.
it did here, because you
Yeah.
know when we were in grade school, we got
Yeah.
our ass beat if we didn't. We got
Shoot,
paddled.
But
we could barely get people here to learn English themselves to learn another language.
But that's one of the things about Japan. And another thing about Japan I didn't know. How many islands? When you think of Japan, you just think of the map, right? And you just think of like what looks like California backwards out in the Pacific. Do you know how many islands encompass Japan by chance?
No, I don't.
6,800.
6,800 islands.
6,800. There's 4 major islands. And Bruce, which island were you born on?
I was a Honshu.
And there's 6,800 islands.
How many of those islands do you think still have Japanese soldiers on them from World War II? We're
Listen.
going like this. Is the war over?
Listen, I'm telling you what. Now,
Because that's what they did. They used to put them. They used to
Yeah.
put soldiers
Oh,
on
sure,
islands
for
all the weather
outposts
for
and
like
all
the
that.
outposts and things like
Yeah.
that. And then how many of them poor guys got left there because nobody
when you're
told
talking
them
about
the war was over?
6,800, it's absolutely amazing. Mount Fuji, it's most active. It's still there's 200 volcanoes on the island of Japan. Well, when they say the island of Japan, I guess you really can't say that.
Yeah. Well,
I guess it means
yeah,
all of them
It is
combined.
island. It is
But-
island.
Yeah,
but-
Japan's
and
an island.
But I mean, it's Japan's like a
It's like mainland.
mainland Japan. I guess. Like when you have the 4 different. See, that's one thing that I should have looked up. You have 4 different islands, but see, when I look at a map, it just looks like one big island. Is that the biggest island of Japan? I guess.
Yeah, the middle part is the biggest.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
then
Okay.
you
Now,
have,
is that the one you were born on?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, man. And how far away from Tokyo were you?
About an hour and a half.
Let me ask you this: when you were living, were you cramped? It's pretty tight? A lot of people.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is great, man. But we're going to have all this. We're going to have this great conversation to learn about the culture of the Japanese people of Japan, because there's a lot of
We have a lot of listeners from Japan.
we absolutely do, and we're going to have a great segment coming up. It's going to be called the Love Jam to Japan, because I don't speak Japanese, and I'm
The
going to
Love Jam
and
to
I'm gonna,
Japan.
I'm gonna basically say what I want to say to our listeners in Japan, and Bruce is going to translate it, and I'm going to try to make it as clean as possible, and it's going to be kind of hard.
Okay.
Once again, make sure to text us at 681-222-ROGN. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google Plus. Watch us on YouTube, whatever. And here's some. We're gonna hit these real quick. Some things you might be interested in. Dementia. Now, you know what? Dementia is a terrible disease. And March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, but dementia. Listen, there was a story that came out that they're going to have a cure for that in 5 years.
God, I hope they do.
I saw that, man, where they had something that makes your brain cells revert or something.
It's
I need some of that now, bro.
it's something with plaque in the brain and all that kind of screws stuff up, I guess. And how they figured that out, I have no idea. But there's people smarter than me on the planet, that's for sure.
Well, there's 3 of you sitting beside you. Just saying. Just saying.
The Division. We played the Division. We talked to Elizabeth last week about the Division Beta. You know what? That's going to be a big game. What's the date?
March
on that?
8th.
March 8th coming out. Bruce, do you play PS4 or Xbox or anything like
No,
that?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
There's a big game coming out. It's made by Ubisoft, and it's like a big open world. It's sort of like an RPG kind of game sort of thing.
And listen, this thing's right up your alley, New York City.
It's right in New York City. Now, the big question is how big is the game going to be compared to the beta that came out? Now, the beta that came out, which is like a little test thing, it was pretty big. I mean, there was a lot of open stuff you can explore.
Oh,
However,
but New York City's a pretty big city. You saw a lot of the stuff where we couldn't go. So, and you know what? Did you see a lot of things that you recognized when you were running around there?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I did.
Because, Chuck's pretty versed when it comes to New York City.
It's kind of like playing Grand Theft. I think it was 4 that was set in New York City. It was just like I could drive to St. Patrick's or Rockefeller Center or whatever.
I mean,
it was,
it
like
was right there,
It wasn't
yeah.
called that necessarily. They have code words. But anyway, the final map that's going to be released without downloadable content is going to be about 6 times larger
in the beta.
than the beta was.
Wow.
The
6
run
times
forever.
larger?
the
Listen, they need to put cabs or horses
know,
or
right?
some shit on there because you run forever.
the dark zone is going to be 3 times larger. And without the map without the dark zone is going to be about 7.5 times larger.
Now, is this without any downloadable content?
This
just
is
gonna
without
be-
download. This is when the game
Wow.
releases.
So when you get that downloadable
it's
content,
going to be
it's going to be huge.
Absolutely.
Oh my god!
It's going to be absolutely insane.
I'm
Now,
looking forward to that game. I
here's a
gotta say.
little. We love Star Wars, Bruce. We talk about Star Wars. Did you was Star Wars big? Because you would have been. How old were you in say 77?
I was 6.
Was Star
Yeah.
Wars big in Japan then?
I believe so. I remember seeing on TV.
Oh, okay.
okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now listen to this. They came out with the Blu-ray is going to come out for number 8
Boom in April.
or number 7, I should say. No, 4, 5, 6. Number 7, of Force Awakens. I'm already thinking of the next one.
Boom. When's it
The-
coming out?
That part I don't know, but I can tell you this: what's
coming
coming
out in
the
April.
extra features on the Blu-ray is it April?
It's coming out in April,
Oh,
buddy.
okay, didn't know that. They're going to have a cinematic journey. It's called. They're going to have a table read. They're going to have the building of the BB-8. They're going to have crafting creatures, a blueprint of the battle, which is like the big snow fight that they had. That's going to be an extra feature. The visual magic of the Force.
That's magical.
John Williams is going to be on there with the 7th Symphony and deleted scenes and Force for Change. You know, BFD. I mean, that I would never watch those anyway. I
you
never
don't watch
watched
those extra.
Sometimes
oh, I
I
watch
do.
all.
Sometimes
that
I do.
I don't watch
Sometimes
I watch it.
stuff.
All that
It's funny.
behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, movie music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that nice little screensaver.
Now here's
like
what's
that.
cool. Todd, well, you weren't here when we talked about this. Episode 4, which was entitled what?
A New Hope. Well, later on, right?
Well, we're just going to say it was A New Hope.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All
when
right.
it was released.
Right.
George Lucas, he wrote and directed that movie.
Yep.
Who and what inspiration or who how can I say it?
I don't know.
What inspired him? Who does he give credit or what movie does he give credit for that inspiration to make A New Hope like it was?
Oh, it's got to be some kind of like a, some kind of a Three Musketeers kind of thing, right?
It could be. What do you think?
I don't know.
It's actually a Japanese movie called The Hidden Fortress.
Oh,
and I
well,
watched
that's
a
what
little,
was my next
Listen,
guess.
I watched a little bit. We have to watch that because I watched a little bit of that today, and no shit. I mean,
You
it
can
is.
see the parallels.
Listen, it's not that you have to try to scratch for it. I mean, it's there. I mean, just the battles at the very end of the movie, The Hidden Fortress. You see there's like a princess, and this is like and you have like the samurais. I guess we were going to call them samurais on either side.
Yeah.
How did A New Hope end?
Oh yeah, with
just
you
like
got
the-
you got
all
the
the
Empire
ceremony, yeah.
and
The
rebellion.
fighting scenes with Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader. They're fighting out with swords. Guess what? In The Hidden Fortress, the good guy, the bad guy. You know what? They're fighting out with swords. In A New Hope, the story was written from the perspective of who? The least, like R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Mm-hmm.
The same way with The Hidden Fortress. It's not from the main characters. It's actually from the perspective of the least 2 characters.
Well, yeah, which in Star Wars case, the 2 droids.
It's amazing.
I like to see that.
But
we
listen-
should have a movie night.
George Lucas absolutely said it's a hidden fortress, and because Bruce is here, he probably has some kind of royalty rights in that, or you wouldn't be here, right? You're making like millions of dollars off of all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. So anyway, well, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some Japanese culture. We're also going to have the Japanese, or how am I going to call it? What am I going to call this? The Japan Love Jam. That kind of has a nice little ring.
Yeah,
to
so
it.
I mean,
nice
does
little-
Japan love
And how this
jam.
is going to work is that I'm going to say something, Yes, and a love jam, and Bruce is going to try to, as best he can, translate it, because I know there's going to be like a translation problem because some English words just don't translate well to, there's just some words in Japanese that aren't English, and there's just vice versa, so we're going to see how that works out. Also have a contest going on, which Bruce is going to pick later on, or at some point, the mystery word. When you hear this mystery word, all you have to do is send us a text at 681-222-ROGN. That's 7646. Let us know what that is. You'll be in a drawing next week that will give away for a pair of Sagebrush tickets to go see the David D Band on March 19th, and we'll also give you a car decal, which is really nice. You should see these things.
Cool. Yeah, check them out.
They're super
Nifty.
They're very, very nice. And by the way, Deb Kelly, she won our mystery word contest from last week, so she picked up herself a Rogan Radio T-shirt.
So be thinking of a mystery word, Bruce.
Be
'Cause
thinking
we
of
need
that.
one
and
word,
listen.
mystery.
And once again, we want to thank you as always for listening to Rogan Radio. Hey, you're back on Rogan Radio. We're back on Rogan Radio, and you're continuing to listen to Rogan Radio. And once again, we have Bruce Takahashi in honor of the fact that not only is Bruce a cool cat, but also for all of our Japanese listeners in the islands over there, which consist of 6,800 islands. I didn't learn that till today. We have about 3,000 listeners, and that's just that baffles my mind.
That's a lot.
Todd, did you ever go through the Pacific?
No, we never did. The unit that I got with after my training, they just got back from Okinawa.
Okay.
They got back from Okinawa, so I got to hear all them stories about they like Mount Fuji. They had a training thing, and they go all the way to the top of Mount Fuji and back. My niece, she was actually stationed in Japan for 3 years. She was stationed there for a year, and then she extended for another 2. She loves
loves
Japan.
it. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'd love to.
She did not want to come back. She spent 3 years over there. She didn't want to come back.
See,
I'd love to go visit.
See, I would love to go to Japan for one thing, and I'm going to take Bruce and I are going to go back, and we've talked about this for
Japanese
years.
women?
No, hell no.
What? There's some really cute little Japanese girls. I ain't lying.
We're going to go back and play some pachinko, man. We're going to go back and play some pachinko.
Yeah, pachinko.
You don't even know what the hell that is.
No, I absolutely
You don't even know
don't.
what Ultraman is or who Ultraman is.
You know what? I really don't.
I know. How could you not know?
I don't know. I never watched Ultraman when I was a kid.
Wow, really?
I watched
That's what I mean.
Aquaman. I watched
Jimmy,
Aquaman. And I did all.
You know Ultraman, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you do the Ultraman move? He does. What does he do? Something with his hand? Pow, 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 or something like that.
He does
Pow.
this.
Yeah, that's what he does. Pow, like that with his arms.
Everybody knows that.
I don't know Ultraman. Sorry, brah.
Anyway, let's go around and Bruce, you tell us if this is true or not, and if you guys have any questions about this. I've learned a lot of stuff about Japan today. To the fact of, once again, Bruce, we need to go to Japan. How long has it been since you've been back to Japan?
Well, last time I went, it was 7 years ago.
7 years.
7 years.
Now, before that, so you've been in the United States since, say, 1990. So it was like 7 years that you were here. Let You were here 7 years, then you went back, and then so you haven't been back. How much did it change? Did you notice? Let me ask you this question. Okay, you leave Japan, which is in my understanding, a pretty disciplined culture, pretty proud culture, of course.
correct.
How old were you when you left
I was
over?
18.
18.
You split when you were 18. So
All
then
right.
you come to the United States where it's just all bellies, flip-flops, and buffet bars. You know what I mean? So then you go back to Japan. So how was it? Was it too? What was your impression of going back?
Well, the first time I went and told my parents how things changed. It was what I was used to seeing it every day. All those years I was over there, it's no longer there.
It's nothing like that
No,
anymore.
no.
It's getting a lot more liberal, I guess, relaxed a little bit, I guess.
Where I used to play and get dirty.
Oh, you mean the
because of the
it's all
development.
gone. Yeah,
They-
it's
they're-
all
Oh, I
developed.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, how's the culture? Is it still pretty disciplined? Is it can you? I mean, you're not going to lose that in a generation, I guess. But are the kids? Do they get spoiled? I mean, when you're in Japan, you don't get spoiled. I think a lot of kids in America they kind of expect stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know.
A lot of time, if we can do it on our own, we'd rather do it on our own over there.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's fantastic. Well, let me tell you some interesting little facts that I've learned about Japan. And
Now, you're talking directly to Jimmy and I because I'm sure Bruce knows this.
I am sure.
Well, he can
Verify.
validate it,
Yeah, he can verify that you're telling the truth. Go ahead and tell the truth, Joe.
Well, you know what? Let me ask you this question. This might be pretty easy. This will be going to Todd.
Okay.
What is the national sport of Japan?
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, come on, man.
Really?
Jimmy, what's the national sport of Japan?
I'd say either cricket or soccer.
Bruce, what's the national sport of Japan?
Small.
That's
Small.
right.
What?
Sumo.
Small.
That's what they call
Oh, sumo? Is that how you say it?
Small.
it. See, well, I don't know why. We see how this says.
See, we say sumo.
Yeah.
Small.
See, so
Because we're dumb.
No, it's just a different intonations.
now here's something very interesting too. Now I have this. What do they call that? Where and I share it with Todd's daughter. Where I cannot stand sounds.
Yeah.
They drive me crazy, Bruce. If I hear slurping or biting or chomping or
Oh,
Jimmy
the noodle.
Ice crunching.
Yeah. So one of the things in Japan, it is
Slurp their soup.
you slur, and it's actually a compliment. If you don't do that, is that right? It's like an insult to the chef.
So Chuck will be insulting everybody.
Yeah. Because Chuck does not slurp his soup. He does not slurp his coffee. He does not slurp nothing. He's
not
not
only.
I'd be good to go.
Well, you do slurp one thing.
Oh my! Not only would I be insulting the chef, but I'd also be insulting everybody that was around me, saying, "Would you please quit that shit?
Stop it with the slurping. Well, they like when somebody belches. I don't know where that is. They say, "Oh, that's not bad manners, just good food."
Now the one
You hear
thing is that I've always heard that too. But
Okay,
you do that in
thanks for
front of
the
me when I'm
acknowledgement.
eating, and I'm going to knock you out.
Okay.
The main diet of Japan would be like a lot of seafood because it would be an island stuff. And did you know this? That now smoking is a lot. I mean, smoking and drinking is pretty high in Japan.
That's correct.
And however, Japanese person lives on average 4 years longer than somebody in the United States.
You think it's the food?
Well, I mean, I just think it's because what we eat. We're eating frozen pizzas and shit like that. Bruce, I don't know if
It's
you get
more processed food here.
yeah,
No, that's what I mean. Do you think it's because of the food that they live longer?
would
Because
say
they don't
no,
eat that.
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd
they
say
don't eat
yeah.
all that
Like, well,
crap we eat.
Let's see. What did you have 2 nights ago, Bruce?
Why don't you just say last night? Be a little easier.
Okay, last night.
Last night I just had a chicken salad,
What'd you have the night before that?
meatloaf.
Oh well, now that's pretty American right there. Meatloaf. I love me some meatloaf.
But you don't eat. Do you eat a lot of frozen pizzas and stuff like that, or would you rather? Do you have a lot of? What would your diet? I mean, what's in your blood to eat? What do
Most
you
of the
crave?
time, I just buy fresh produce.
Right.
Pretty much a vegetable based.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I never do that. When the last time Bruce and I we went up to with Mad Dog up to the Japanese bar there in Morgantown, whatever it was called.
Like a
And-
steakhouse,
Hibachi,
Japanese steakhouse.
Yeah, right. And we had this big dinner and stuff like that, and I'm eating, and I'm full. Listen, I'm hurting at the guts. This was after a couple sake bombs that Bruce and I did too, by the way.
Oh, sake bomb.
But Bruce told me, he goes, "Listen, you're just not used to eating whole vegetables.
Me love you long time.
Like you would
Chuck.
eat, I don't eat vegetables. So when I do eat vegetables, it's like I'm exploding because I'm not used to that. So I got full and it hurt my stomach. And if I'm not mistaken, it was even snowing that night.
Yeah, it was.
Listen, let me ask you this about Japanese Steakhouse. How legit are Japanese Steakhouse in America? Or do they? I mean, is there such a thing as a Japanese Steakhouse in Japan?
No,
It's just a
a
Western
steakhouse.
culture kind of
it's
thing.
a Western culture mixed. Yeah,
Yeah.
Now, when you go to a Japanese steakhouse, if you do, I mean, that would be like, I mean,
it's a rare.
yeah. I mean, when you walk into one of those places and they say, "Holy shit,"
So we
There's-
got a real Japanese guy here.
we-
Crap.
Yeah.
because right off the bat they're going to know just because. I mean,
Yeah.
so what happens? I mean, because you could probably tell right off the bat that it's just all a bunch of
Well,
bullshit.
there was one time I asked for the green tea.
Yeah.
And then the owner actually came out and said, "I know you're real Japanese, but this is the tea we have." So I said, "Okay."
No,
and
really?
it wasn't green tea.
It wasn't green.
Because he knew that you knew what the
Yeah,
real green tea
yeah.
was, so he had to come out and say, "Listen,
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
sorry, but
Yeah.
this is their only green tea."
No, I've also heard stuff about like a moist towel. Do you get like a moist towel?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. In Japan, yeah, that's kind of.
When you go to eat, you get a towel. You get a
Yeah.
moist towel and green tea right off the bat.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, so they don't have Japanese steakhouses in Japan. They probably got like Fat American Cafe or something.
Yeah, no joke. Let's go out to eat tonight at the Fat American place. Now, this is one thing that's really interesting too. At Japan, we're going to call it Japan. I'm not sure when Japan actually became Japan, but the people that live on the islands of Japan, when did that start? When's the earliest You're not going to cheat, Captain Earl. What's the earliest date that they can find remnants or evidence that somebody lived on the islands of Japan?
Listen, Japan, the history of the culture goes back
30,000 BC.
This goes back years. I mean, it goes back hundreds
It's
of
30.
thousands.
Never
of
mind.
years.
It's 30,000 years before Christ.
Wow.
Listen, now to put that in perspective, there were people living. There were Japanese 30,000 years before Christ. We've only It's 2015. We've only been 2,000 years since then. So we're talking about 28,000 more years before we get there. That's pretty amazing.
That is absolutely amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
No, it really is.
Let's see this. Let me ask you this. Oh, we already talked about this. When you went to school, you had to learn not only Japanese but English.
Yeah.
So which we're going to do a translation. We're going to do a Japan love jam here in a second. What was your better language? What did you like to learn? I mean, you probably knew Japan anyway, or Japanese anyway.
Well, to be honest, I didn't like either language. Yeah, so
You just made your own up?
Yeah, I didn't like learning Japanese literature. I didn't care about learning English words.
So, but then
They say English is the hardest.
Did they give you a choice? I mean, when you went to school, because you have to learn a second language, but does it have to be English, or does it could it be something else?
When I was in which middle school I started, yeah, I had no choice but English.
It had to be English.
It
Okay.
has to be English.
Because English and Mandarin, I think, are the hardest languages to learn, supposedly.
Really? I thought
what I
English
heard.
was really easy.
No, English would be different.
Expression of grammar is one of the hardest one.
Now, speaking of grammar, there's 4 different styles of Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Now, how does that work? Does it depend on where you are on the island?
No, it's common in all the way.
So you have to learn 4 different ways to write,
That's correct.
along with learning a different language. Now, when you learned English, did you actually have to learn how to write English too, or just how to?
We start from an alphabet, and pretty much it's the baby start learning a word.
Yeah.
It's the same way.
No kidding. So you had to learn basically the same language 4 different ways,
Yeah.
And
a whole different language. That with say in English you have 16,000 different words to explain the same thing. So that would be very difficult because there's a lot of languages around the world that are just literal, right to the point.
Well, yeah, and I figure when he was learning English, but when he came here to America when you were 18, you probably found a whole slew of different ways to say the same thing.
Oh, the slang terms.
They taught you one way, but when
Yeah.
you got here, but now we say it like this and like this and like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, but it's just like the book style and the street style.
Right? Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
A lot of the
yeah,
slang.
yeah.
A lot of the slang. Now check this out too. Is that the in snowmen? Now you wouldn't think. I mean, I guess I don't even know what parallel or that Japan's on. But you get a lot of snow, or does it just depend on where you are?
Depends on which area you live.
Or how high you are.
Could be
Yeah.
that too.
Like
Now let me ask you this, Captain Earl: when you build a snowman, how many balls? How many? When you what's your? I mean, not
The
balls.
more balls, the better for Todd.
When you're putting a snowman together, what's the layers?
3 layers. I say great big ball on the bottom,
Right.
little baller on the top. That's the body, and then
Yeah.
big ball on the head. That's the head.
Bruce in Japan, say you're making a snowman. Now, do you put a carrot in its nose and all that stuff?
2 lumps of coal
Okay.
in the eyes like that.
Tell Todd how you make a snowman.
Just 2 body parts.
Just 2
Just
balls.
2.
2 balls.
Just
Two
2
balls.
balls.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
a
how
great
about
big
that?
ball and then a head.
Yeah.
Great big ball and a head.
Body and in the head.
How about that?
How come we make 3 and they make 2?
Hey, listen, man, it's
What's
just a
up with
cultural
that?
difference.
Just the way it goes.
All right, Captain Earl, I want you to look at Bruce for. Actually, let's do this when we come right back. We're going to take a quick break here, which is very interesting. Listen, Bruce, we need to have you on a lot more because you can teach us a lot. Between pachinko, we didn't even get into any cultural stuff such as Ultraman because Todd has no idea what the
I'm
hell
going to go home and
Ultraman is.
YouTube. I'm
It's
YouTubing that junk
ridiculous.
tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of little intricacies about, like, say, when you were doing Aikido. Is that right? Was it
I was a kendo. Yeah.
Kendo? I don't know what that. And they beat the shit out of you for that, right? When it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy.
Well, when he was learning, they were like,
Well, the thing is, when you do anything like that in the United States, it's so laid back. They don't want to touch you.
But in Japan, they're like, this is how you learn. Whack!
I know,
Listen,
right?
smack you in the
Listen,
head.
I guarantee you, if you talk to Bruce about when you were in school, grade school or grammar school, elementary school, whatever, it was probably a lot like what we would consider like a military training.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. That's why the literacy rate is 100%.
I
in
better learn
Japan.
this so we get slapped up upside my head.
Yeah, that's pain is a motivator. Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
Motivator.
It's always worked for me. That's why I like ball gags and things like that.
Paddle whips.
Hey, anyway, speaking of that, once again, you can you're listening to Rogan Radio. You can check us out on the Facebook, on YouTube, on the Google Plus, and let's see. Stitcher. Didn't mention Stitcher. We're still trying to work on TuneIn Radio. For some reason, I just can't get that thing right. We have a podcast every single week as well as we can. And this week, we're going to be giving away a pair of tickets to go see David Daugherty and the band on March 19th at the Sagebrush. And we're going to it's just basically about colon cancer awareness this month. I mean, March is the month for that, and we have so many people that have been affected by cancer in so many different ways. And the colon cancer, man, you just don't see stuff like that. Any kind of cancer, you don't see what's coming up. David has a song out on the iTunes and things. You'll be able to see that.
99 cents.
Yeah, you'll see that in the show notes. Go ahead and buy that thing. It's a walking mile shoes. And if you've had to deal with that, if you've had to deal with that, nobody knows except you about what it's like to walk around with some kind of cancer growing in that particular fight. And so, that's a good thing. We'll have that in the show notes. Be sure to do that. It's the David D Band. We're going to come right back. We're going to do what I've been talking about for the last 40 minutes or so. We're going to do the Love Jam to Japan, and then we're going to find out exactly what the mystery word is from Bruce to make you a winner of those Sagebrush tickets and a nice car decal. You're listening to Rogan Radio. Hey, it's Rogan Radio. We are back in the studio tonight. Special guest Bruce Takahashi. Oh my goodness, Jimmy, you must have been eating some chocolate out there. One thing that I've learned is that I have to have. It's almost like a tradition now where we have a big box of chocolate out there. So somehow it's going to have to be Valentine's Day. I only have one more left, and that's a big one over there. But
we'll tear into that, don't you
we're
worry.
We're going to have chocolate every week. Listen, one of the very interesting things about, once again, we're talking about Japanese culture tonight and how much different it is than American culture. And Bruce, being from Japan, one thing that's kind of amazed me is that you have at least 170 million people living on the islands, right? And you have 4 main islands. And when it comes to America has a lot of property. There's a lot of land here, right? When you're living in Japan, because right now you have 14 acres. Is it Doddridge County?
No, Harrison.
Harrison County? Okay. And then you have 14 acres. Now, if you were living in Japan, what are the chances of you, first of all, having 14 acres of property?
Well, you have to either farmer or just inherited and they have a rich parents, maybe. But
so normally, where would you live if you were growing up? Like, what's your average Japanese family? In like an apartment, I guess? Like an apartment complex?
High-rise building, yeah.
And you're looking at what, 3 or 4 bedrooms maybe?
2?
3 bedroom, maybe, yeah.
Really?
Gosh, that's so weird because when I think of Japan, you think of, Tokyo, the big city, everybody's crowded, but then you see all these movies and you think they're out in like these, rural areas, farmers, things like that. It's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And but you have to think that Japan is mountainous, very mountainous. I mean, you have 200 volcanoes out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's an island, first of all. But it's just man, we have to go to Japan. You have to take me to Japan.
Yeah, right.
Listen,
It'll be
man,
fun.
Absolutely, it will be fun. Now, one thing that is very interesting though is that one thing synonymous. This has nothing to do with Japanese culture, but it is an American thing. It's another St. Patrick's Day. Now, I'm going to ask Todd. When you think, where did fortune cookies come from?
A Grand China buffet.
What country originated fortune cookies?
If I say the answer is way too obvious, I'm going to say I won't say Japan, but I'm thinking that might be wrong.
Bruce?
It's from U.S. California.
The fortune cookie. Now, there's the basis for the fortune cookie is off of a cookie that's made in Japan. However, the fortune cookie that we know that they pass out at your Chinese restaurant isn't. It's totally American, and it has nothing to do with Chinese culture. It has nothing. The inspiration actually came from a Japanese cookie where I guess there's a fortune, and I wish I could say the name, but I can't. And then somehow I can't even remember who's the big maker of all of Oriental food. Todd, do you know? No, you probably don't.
Chow mein.
Okay, so yeah, chow mein. So anyhow, it's basically all an American-made thing, just like St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, I mean, we could just do a podcast, or we could just look at Japanese girls on the TV all you want to do. That's what you want to do. We can do that. Todd's looking; he's absolutely fascinated with the beauty of Japanese women, and listen, they're beautiful. I'm not going to lie to you about that.
absolutely are.
That's why I'm going to buy one of those sex robot things.
Sex robot.
Listen, you can buy
You
those
can
things
buy it at $3,000.
for
see?
$3,000. That's
it,
all.
huh?
Listen, man, it cost me $27,000 to get divorced. I could go buy one of them things for $3,000.
Yeah,
Just
you
plug that thing
absolutely
into
could.
the wall and just be
Yeah.
good with it.
Absolutely, Chuck.
Around here, 16 years old, that's when you have to drive. That's when you get to drive, right?
That's correct.
And kids around here at 16 think they need a car. If you were living in Japan as, say, a 40-year-old, what do you think about a car? Is that a luxury, or is that?
I would say luxury, but some people have for the pleasure or leisure for family, family functions. But maintaining a car, it's pretty strict and costly.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Expensive stuff.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
all the gasoline, all the oil, everything that comes into Japan is all imported. Japan doesn't have any actual, oil exploration or anything like that.
So,
it would be
so would you say
extremely
most Japanese cars are actually exported to other countries then?
Some of them are I think comes in here, depends on the emission control, it will not pass.
Well, see, now that's one thing. Why Japanese cars in particular have a great reputation in America. And the reason being is because they don't have the luxury in Japan of having the maintenance that we do here. We just go through every 3,000 miles. You can just go down a Jiffy Lube or whatever for $20, get your oil changed.
Yeah.
There are cars made to last because you just don't have the luxury of going down there every 3,000 miles because it's so damn expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and all of a sudden, I'm driving a Honda, my old Civic. Bruce has a Toyota. Todd has a Toyota. Listen, I've never had a problem. And I can't, every American car, and I hate to say it like that, but every American car I've ever had has been nothing but a headache.
Yeah. Well, listen, they're very strict. I mean, if you ever see like the, you see it in movies, and maybe that's just the movies, but these factories when they're making these Japanese cars, I mean, they're very disciplined as far as even where they put their tools. When they get done, they got a certain spot. They take a lot of pride.
Well,
in
it's
their
discipline
craftsmanship.
and just the engineering of things.
Yeah,
Engineering.
yeah,
All
they
right,
make
so-
that stuff to last, man. Big time.
So, Bruce, I want you to, before we get into the love jam of Japan, and this is really going to make Todd hot, why don't you tell me, if you can, what this says? See if
Okay.
you can translate this.
トットは排尿するために座ります。
He's laughing.
See, you must
Now,
know
hold
what
on,
it is.
hold on. We're going to listen to it again.
ト
Okay.
ットは排尿するために座ります。
Okay, so what? As-
Todd is going to sit down to take a leak.
That's what it
fantastic.
said.
All right, what we're going to do, once again, the reason Bruce is here, not only once again is that he's a great guest and we're learning about different cultures, which we love it. We love it. Is that we have a lot of listeners in Japan, and we want to really appreciate that. We really do appreciate that, I should say. And right now, we're going to have a love jam to Japan. And then what I'm going to do is, Bruce, I'm going to try to say something in American or in
Okay.
English, and as best you can, because I realize there's going to be some kind of a translation difference. To you translate it for all of our sexy listeners in Japan.
All right.
Because
All
we got
right.
a bunch of them.
All right, you ready for this?
Oh, here's our sexy jam for Japanese listeners.
Oh, yeah.
To all of our listeners in Japan of Rogan Radio, I say hello.
Hello, Japan listeners.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, Japan.
I love konnichiwa.
If you have long black hair, Chuck loves you.
Yeah. This is really sensual,
もし
sexy music.
長い髪ある人なら、チャックが愛してあげる。
Ooh.
If you're ever in America,
Oh, yeah.
you need to come see me.
アメリカに来た時には、ぜひ遊びに来てください。
Yeah, that sounded
Yeah.
crazy, Bruce.
And if you are looking for a hot guy,
いい男を見つけたいなら、
Ooh. A hot one.
you need to talk to Bruce.
Yeah.
私までどうぞ。
Yeah. Talk to
They
Bruce if you
still
want a
call
little
me
Thanks for listening to Rogan Radio and continue to do so, please.
Go ahead, Bruce.
ローガンレディを聞いてきてどうもありがとうございます。これからも支援をよろしくお願いいたします。
Yeah, that sounded sexy all by itself, didn't it? Bruce?
All right, this is going to be the final one. Roses are red.
バラは赤色。
Violets are blue.
バイレッツは青。
The Pacific Ocean is separating us, but I still love you.
太平洋を越してでも私はあなたたちを愛してます。
All right, you know what? That was great, Bruce. You know, that was totally on the fly, man. And I'm sort of turned on by that.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
I apologize for not being able to speak Japanese right away.
Hey, you're just a little rusty, Bruce.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, it's not so much that. I think it's more of the translation of trying to figure out what I'm saying and using it that way.
Well, and then he has to get out of his head this, porn soft jazz music and the way we're saying it. Say it like this.
Yeah, translate it like this, Bruce.
Roman noodles.
Roman noodles.
Ramen noodles.
Not even right. No.
Whatever.
They're not made in Italy.
Exactly. Hey, Bruce, really do appreciate you coming on.
Talking about the ramen noodle,
Yeah.
we boil the ramen noodle, not cook in the microwave.
Oh,
No,
I always
yeah.
boil mine.
Oh yeah.
I must have some Japanese blood in me.
You don't.
I can.
I don't
Hey,
think
listen,
so.
Bruce can set you up with a lot of Japanese in you if you want. Bruce, really appreciate you
With
coming on.
his
you're
ramen noodle.
Hey, listen, come back on. I mean, really,
Yeah.
every now and then. Listen, I was telling Todd and Jimmy about it. It's been a few weeks ago, and I think this will be fantastic because we haven't had authentic Japanese food. We go to all these bullshit places that they call
Okay.
Japanese,
Yeah.
right? We'll do the podcast out in the kitchen.
Okay.
We'll do it on the island,
Okay.
and then and while we're doing that, we're going to do like a Bruce cooking show.
Yeah.
And listen, man,
You can cook for us, man. That
oh,
would
yeah,
be
you know what? I'm going to be full, and you can tell us exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
What do you think? You like it?
I don't know.
I think we do.
He goes,
Maybe. Listen, and okay, Todd's buying all the food, so you don't have to worry about all that.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
Todd's buying all the food. All right. One last thing we want to remind you about the mystery word. With the mystery word, now listen, this is very important because if you hear this mystery word, if you're still around by now, and we hope you are, and we know you are, we don't give really two shits in the wind if you're living in Japan or the Netherlands or Germany or the UK or in Wallace. It does not matter to us. When you hear this mystery word from our very special guest tonight, Bruce Takahashi, all you have to do is text us that magic word at 681-222-ROGN, or you can message us that same word on the Facebook by liking Rogan Radio, and then you can go ahead and message us. So, once again, if you know, when you hear this magic word, be sure to let us know that you know that by doing one of those, and you're going to win either a car decal that we'll ship to you if you're not close to us, or by chance, maybe some tickets to go see David D. At the Sagebrush up on March 19th at the Bunner's Ridge, and it's just going to be fantastic because March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. We're making everybody aware of that, and in a couple of more weeks, thanks to KDS Permanent Signs and More with the Rogan Radio T-shirts. If you don't have one of those, if you don't have won one of those, you can go ahead and contact them to get one of those. We're going to have another fire tablet giveaway along with $100. That's a pretty big prize. So with no further ado, special guest tonight. Been enlightening. It's been fantastic.
It's been fun, Bruce.
It absolutely.
We've learned a lot,
Thank you for having me.
You absolutely have to come back, Bruce. The first time's the worst time. After that,
Then you settle in.
yeah. Then after that, you'll sit in that seat and you'll tell Jimmy and Todd to shut the hell up because that's what I do. I mean, Jimmy has to get home to watch The Walking Dead. I call Todd and Jimmy the Talking Dead. So
That's actually on AMC after The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
that's what we'll start calling this podcast, The Talking Dead.
You should watch The Walking Dead, Chuck.
I don't watch it.
You'd
Anyway,
like it.
Bruce, what is the magic word for this week? Drum roll.
Oh, we got a drum roll.
Well, I like to say bushy.
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 Bushy. The
Bushy
word
Bushy is the magic word
Bushy.
from special guest in the studio tonight on Rogan Radio, straight from Japan by way of Salem, we'll say.
Yeah, Salem.
Bruce Takahashi. Once again, thanks, Bruce, for coming on in.
Thank you.
We really enjoyed you coming in, and next time, listen, man, you're just going to come in here and you're just going to be one of the boys, and all the fog and everything is going to be out of your head,
Right.
and then after a couple times after that, we have the spring fling coming up, and then we're going to have a big dinner. We're going to actually eat healthy.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten vegetables since I had the last time I had vegetables, I think, were onions and green peppers on my frozen pizza. And listen, they were pretty good.
And that big cucumber.
Booyah! That was actually one of those squashes, man.
No, it was not.
And I'll tell you, I'll squash something in you. Once again, hey, thanks for listening to Rogan Radio. Check us out on the YouTube, on iTunes, and Stitcher. If you're listening to us on iTunes, make sure to leave us a review. Go ahead and like us. We really do appreciate that. Also on Stitcher, just go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and just go once again, give us a little bit of a like there, and leave a nice comment. We'll be sure to mention you, and leave all your messages and comments at 681-222-ROGN at 7646.
And listen, one more time, give us the mystery word, Bruce.
Bushy.
Bushy.
That's it.
Hey, you're listening to Rogan Radio.